This is Disc Priest Dungeon Guide's Heroic Scholomance Edition. Whether you're new to healing, new to discipline, or just feeling anxious about queuing up at 90, this guide is for you. Being a washed up never was, I want to show you that anyone can do this and help you have fun and get the most out of your priest along the way. Here's our glyphs. Here's our talents. To start off here, we're going to be clearing some trash. Pretty basic. You're just going to do your atonement rotation. If you need a guide on how to do that, you can do a search on YouTube. There's plenty of discipline priest guides. Pretty straightforward. But you can go ahead and use any cooldowns that you want to use on this trash if your tank wants to pull a ton of stuff. And this boss is pretty straightforward. You shouldn't need any cooldowns. It's got a little bit of AoE based on you being next to other people, like very close, so you just want to make sure you're not stacked up. Don't run into that ice wall, and look out for these big circles on the ground that'll pop up in a second. See that? Looks like a ice wall. Just want to not get popped in that because they'll do a lot of damage, but the damage on this fight is pretty much just single targets, so your atonement's great for healing it. You can just DPS the boss and this little urn that pops up at the end and you're good to go. And once you finish that, you're going to go straight into the trash for Jandis. This room is a couple skeletons. You see, use that little trick of drinking up the full and then giving myself a feather to catch up to the tank. There's not too much damage, but go ahead and use a cooldown if your tank wants to pull everything here. I think I gave it pain suppression and a few greater heals there. But otherwise, once it gets near the top, you can just go back to atonement healing. For Jandis, there's two phases. This phase, you just want to not be in front of her. She throws out this conal that will do a lot of damage to you. But aside from that, there's not really much going on that you can't heal with atonement. During this second phase, there's a lot of damage going around, so you gotta be ready to pop an inner focus and prayer of healing. Try to keep prayer of mending bouncing around. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna even really kill anybody, even if you just did atonement damage here. But yeah, if you just keep people topped up with some prayer of healings. Again, back to phase one, once you reveal the actual boss. And then if you have it up, this is a good spot to use Spirit Shell. Just do like a Spirit Shell and 3 prayer of healings, and then pop a prayer of mending out there as well. That should keep everybody up, and you can just go back to atonement. There's really not too much going on this fight. That just get to help with damage a bit here. And then once this is done, you're gonna go ahead and get ready for Radogor's room. Tanks like to pull big going into this room, so you're gonna be ready to do some direct healing onto them, not just atonement. If you have a cooldown up here, you can go ahead and use it on them when they come back. So they'll run around the room and gather some stuff up and come back to this corner. You can see here, I don't have pain suppress because we used it going into Jandis, so I'm going to go ahead and throw a barrier down here and then heal them up. And once the scary part's over, just have some more trash to clean up. Sometimes the tanks will pull the whole room, sometimes, they take 3 or 4 of these packs. Then we get to get it ready for Rattlebur. You shouldn't really need any cooldowns, so this is much more a tank execution fight. The idea is that when Rattlebur does damage, it buffs his damage, but it also slows his movement speed. So the tank's gonna let Rattlebur hit him a couple times, just keep him healed up, and then the tank's just gonna start fighting. You see, paladins have a sprint on their own, so you don't have to deal with that, but you'll see I'll start giving him feathers when he's done with his boots. The other mechanic that you need to worry about is that Rattlebur will target a random person with a bone spike. You see him throw it there. And if you have bone armor, it'll just absorb that spike. And you see the feather going out there. And so if he targets you and takes off your debuff, then you just have to go click one of the bone piles and get a new one. You can see these fires popping up on the bone armor location, so you also have to be aware of that, but there's a really loud sound cue when that happens also, so if you got your headphones on, you're in good shape there. And go back and another big trash pull after we res the Warlock you sit in the back. On big pulls, you can go ahead and throw a Prayer of Many on the tank, because that'll give them a little bit extra threat. It won't go onto you, it'll go on the tank, and then once they've got everything gathered up, you can penance and do a shield or greater heal. And then just on this pull, I would stick with just straight healing, because it can be hard to target. If you target the little guys, they just die, and then you have to find another target, and it can really disrupt the chain of healing. We got this rare, so it took us a little bit longer to finish this right here. You can see next up is Lillian. In phase 1, it's pretty straightforward. You just want to spread out. Pretty much all these bosses, you just want to spread out, because there's little AoE things here, like you've got fire patches that show up under your feet. She'll pull you into her to try and get you stuck there. But you just run back away, so you don't give everybody fire damage. And again, she's going to do single target damage otherwise, so Atonement's just perfect for it. You see, I'm just DPSing the boss pretty much the whole time. I throw Divine Star even though it's not, like there's no AoE damage, just because if it crits, it gives people an extra shield, and it'll help them out. Then we go into phase 2. For this phase, basically just has a fixate. Basically, if she melees somebody, she does AoE damage, and it slows her down. So you'll see she does 1 melee, and everybody takes a little orb, and then she walks really slowly, fixated on one person. In this case, it's a tank. You can see she's very slow. You don't need feathers or anything, but you can have fun. In this case, my Warlock who stood in the fire earlier is now going to tank the boss fixates, so I'm just going to go ahead and life grip away, and the boss changes fixate targets. Or I guess stays on the Warlock and dies. Goes back to phase 1. She'll go back to phase 1 with however much health you left her with at the end, so you see she's very low there. And then we're going into another trash pull that most tanks left to pull huge. So you can see I'm popping Spirit Shell and Chain Prayer healing to get big buffers, but then the tank decides not to pull, and then decides to do a small pull anyways. So we can show this just These pulls are actually the most dicey ones in this dungeon. Depending on what your tank pulls, they've got a lot of casters and the terrain's a little bit weird. You need to make sure you have line of sight, because I think these railings are going to block you. And you can see low health mobs are kind of like the bane of Disc Priest, because you end up wanting to just heal the tank instead of doing any atonement healing. Your atonement probably is going to be enough to keep him up, but you don't want to break your chain of smites and other atonement, because the healing is really a trickle in there, and you need to keep it coming or you get behind. And when low health mobs die, then you have to like retarget. You know, if you get most of the way through a smite cast and the thing dies before you finish it, then you have to start all over again on a new target. You can just get behind if you can't keep full throughput up there. So you can see I'm doing a lot of target healing here instead of atonement, just for that reason. I don't want to risk somebody dying because I lost my target. And here we are, we're drinking again. You see tanks will give you about half a mana bar before you go, and that's fine because you go in and you cast your heal, and then you'll see drop that mind bender right away, and you get pop back up. And none of these bosses really take a full mana bar, and if they do, you should have another mind bender here. Again, this fight is just like super good for disc healing profile. It's just you chain cast single target stuff on random people, so you just let the smart healing do the work. He'll port you to one of these rooms. Usually he only gets one of those casts off before he dies on heroic. Might be different on challenge modes, but with that, if you do get ported, if you're the unlucky one, you look for the expired test subject and dispel it with mass dispel, and it should blow up everything in the room. It's kind of like the healer cheat code to get out, so you don't have to DPS everything. I didn't realize that the first time through, and I mind seared them down, so that's possible too if you forget that, but apparently you can just skip right through that if you find the one with the debuff on it, dispel. We're done, so leave a like if you're checking out my other guides. Subscribe to see my challenge mode guides as soon as they're available. Drop a comment if you thought my advice could be better, or you play another spec and you want one of these. Peace.